All right. Thanks so much to everyone here in the commission. I really do appreciate the opportunity to talk about something that I find really exciting, and that is the future of law. But we have to realize and face a few facts. The future right now isn't all too bright. Law schools, they're diminishing in their amount of applicants, while tuition is skyrocketing. We have corporate counsel that are forcing their lawyers to do more with less, and job prospects for new graduates are plummeting. And while each of these is a big deal, not any one of them is really truly the threat to our profession. No, the biggest threat to the legal profession, in my view, is the rampant underconsumption of legal services. In better words, they ain't buying what we're selling. Why is that? We need to be tapping into a new market, the market of the middle class and the small business. We need to think about this market, and I believe if we can successfully tap into it, not only will we see a massive jump in access to legal services, but we will also see a jump in lawyer employment. Sounds great, right? Well, let's not be too quick to congratulate ourselves, because we got to do a few things first. What I'd like to start off with is a question. It's a pretty simple question. It's one that we all need to be thinking about. What is it exactly that's going on? Well, no one else has sugarcoated it, so I'm not going to either. The fact is that the justice system seems to be broken for millions and millions of Americans. If you believe some people, it's 200 million Americans, nearly 80% of the adult population. Let's put that number into perspective, though. It is the combined population of France, the United Kingdom, and Italy added together. That's a lot. What is it about the legal system that seems to push away the consumer? Maybe we should follow one and find out. I'd like everyone to meet Mark. Mark's just your average reasonable consumer. He's looking to get things done. Let's take a look at Mark's path. When he starts out, the first thing he's wondering is, do I even need any professional advice at all? Let's assume that Mark has some sort of a problem. Let's say he's way behind on his mortgage. What's he going to do? Who's he going to call? You might be surprised to know that the best answer, the most likely answer, is he's going to do nothing. Or maybe talk to a family member or a friend. Shockingly enough, Mark does not know the benefit that any advice, not just lawyer advice, is going to convey on him and solve his problem. If he makes it past here and understands that he might need some sort of third-party help, the next question is whether or not he actually needs a lawyer to take care of it. This is the area where Mark would prefer to weigh some options before hiring someone. He would like to see maybe some information, maybe on a website, maybe a chat or a telephone call or some unbundled help. But far too often, when the Marks of the world come to the legal profession, he's given two options, and neither of them are ones that he wants. Full service law or the doom of self-help. Once again, Mark is stuck. Well, things heat up, and now Mark knows that he needs a lawyer. Let's say maybe he's gotten a threatening letter or a notice of eviction from a sheriff. The next question is, what lawyer is right? Who's the best lawyer for Mark? How in the world is Mark supposed to know who the right lawyer is for him? Sure, he has access to bar websites, might even take a look at Avvo or Yelp. There's always websites, TV ads, and billboards. But it's highly unlikely that any of these things are going to actually put Mark into the right intersection of affordability, quality, and experience that he's looking for. He's more likely to find legal help through word of mouth, talking to a family member or a friend. But just because Mark's cousin had a great experience with an estate planning lawyer does not mean that lawyer is the right person to take care of his foreclosure issue. It just doesn't. And if he finally makes it past this issue, we come to the next one, the one that we all know and love. It's affordability. If Mark is a typical consumer, a middle-class person, his family's making about $5,000 a month. After taking out taxes and other kind of normal expenditures like home, food, transportation, utilities, and even healthcare, he's lucky to have much money at all or disposable income for things like clothing, education, entertainment, And you guessed it, you. If he's in the bottom half, that's what his wallet looks like. It leaves him with a choice. Do nothing and hope it works out, or sacrifice some other necessity, or even worse, go into debt. We put up a lot of obstructions in the path to a great consumer experience. But we need to think about this. Think about the tens of millions of Marks that are out there, not just Mark. Think about all the people who actually have a problem. The ones that actually figure out it's legal and finally find a lawyer only to discover they can't afford it. No, if you actually look at the people who successfully navigate the obstacle course that we set up, it looks more like that. We need to find a way to make ourselves relevant to all the consumers in the outside circle so that we can increase the latent market for our services and turn non-buyers into buyers. The story's a little bit sad, but it happens every single day. Marks are out there making choices just like this. I think we need to think a little bit deeper about the profession that we created and the one that we practice in, and the self-granted monopoly that we get to regulate, adjudicate, and legislate, and decide whether or not we're doing enough for the Marks of the world. We have to understand that it is not a tiny glitch in our system that can be fixed. No, when the problem is endemic to the system, we need to reimagine. We need to re-engineer the system to help all the Marks of the world. And when we do that, we all know of the 200 million people, half of them, according to the study, are going to have a legal problem, what's called a civil justice problem, in the next 18 months, with most people having 2 or 3 of them. That's a lot of problems. Less than a quarter of them are going to actually reach out to a lawyer or any third party for help. That's sad. So we obviously have a problem of awareness. So how do we fix it? Well, let's build up awareness, right? But how do we do that? Well, shockingly enough, other industries actually do this. They get the word out, and it has an effect on their industry. We know to see a doctor when we're sick. We go to the dentist twice a year. We brush twice a day, and we lie about flossing, right? How many people here have used a realtor, even though you're perfectly capable of reading all the contracts and doing it yourself? How about this? Milk does a body good, pork's the other white meat, and beef's what's for dinner. What do they all have in common? They all got the word out. Every single one of these had some sort of industry brand and industry recognition to educate the consumer on their worth. We don't really have anything like that in law, but maybe we should. Who knows? It might be fun. Unfortunately, this is how the people who do afford us think about us. We are not going to change Danny DeVito's mind by hoping and praying that the problem goes away. We need to be lobbying state and local bar associations, guilds, the ABA, to do what their job is and get the word out. We need to be championing legal checkups to raise awareness and actually develop a relationship with consumers want us instead of relationships with clients that need us. When we do this, we can kind of move past and start thinking about the continuum, the options of legal help that they're going to want. We need to figure out something that's the best education and affordability, experience, and specialization for them. What is it that they're looking for? Brace yourselves, because we've got to stop this rhetoric. The idea that only lawyers can give legal help. It's true that lawyers are great at giving legal help, but as you heard Paul and others talk about, we need to open it up to others. We need to start thinking about a continuum and making legal help available for more. We say that doing your own legal work is like doing brain surgery on yourself, right? We break out the old Lincoln quote, "Fool for a client." Well, let's stick with the analogy. I'm okay with that. We all know, though, that in medical services, most things are not performed by a doctor, someone who's gone to medical school, taken boards, done residencies, right? When people go to get health services, they know that they have options to a doctor. Technicians, phlebotomists, practitioners, nurses, physician's assistants, they're all kind of in the mix to help open up the landscape for medicine. You heard Paula talk about triple LTs? They're doing this. The legal profession is starting to kind of get this. And it's what I call a good start. But I don't think it's going to do anything to really help with employment of lawyers or legal professionals or to gain access unless we can expand concepts like this nationally and increase them to start doing more things in more practice areas. We need to offer a true continuum of legal help for the consumer. Information, forms, checklists, flat fee, unbundled help, limited help, full service, everything should be in the mix to get the consumer the right combination of experience and affordability to help them solve their problems. We should be thinking of things like triage, when someone comes in with a need that's urgent, and primary care and specialty care lawyers in the same way that they deal in the medicine to try and open up this landscape. We need to start opening up access in the areas of law that have the greatest need. We need to unshackle ourselves and unshackle the concepts of legal information and software and stop using UPL rules to stifle competition when there's no problem with respect to the quality or consumer protection, but its only effect is to stamp out competition and innovation. When we do this, we can kind of move on to the next phase. And I see 4 areas where we can do a better job of matching lawyers with the clients that they need. Lawyers should be loving ratings and reviews. We should be begging for them. I find out a lot of information about my doctor before I go and see her. I can find a lot about my refrigerator before I buy it. So why not a lawyer? We need to take the concepts of reviews and ratings. We need to use what's called net promoter methodology to teach lawyers how to implement amazing and phenomenal customer care. And when I talk about these ratings, I'm not talking about did you win or lose, but did you pick up the phone? Were you easy to get a hold of? Were you efficient? Did you do what we promised in the time that you promised? And did you have a great bedside manner? These are things that consumers care about. When I do work on my home, I do it on myself sometimes, but I usually go to Angie's List because I like to find out what people think about contractors that I might want to use. How many people here know the one profession Angie's List won't rate? You guessed it. It's us. It's a popular question. I searched this a couple of weeks ago. This is the #1 answer to the question of why. Look at the reasons. Customers are begging for information about you because they want to know that you are worth the squeeze. #2 answer, anyone want to take a guess? That one. That's what people think about us. We have to embrace specialization. We have to understand that there are individuals out there, we need to get them the right lawyer, the one that has the right cross-section of experience and specialization for them. All too often, this is what they see, and it's not what they want. But we like to think that just because we sat for the LSAT, we went to law school, we studied for and passed the bar exam and swore our allegiance to high ethical standards, that alone makes us a great advisor. But we all know that a great advisor is not made from a license, but from experience. It's just the truth. We think for some reason that we are above the concept of comparing ourselves to other lawyers, and it's actually more important than consumer confidence. Well, a judge in Tallahassee just kind of saw it the other way. He recently struck down a Florida bar rule that said you couldn't actually talk about specialization without bar certification. He said it was unconstitutional. For the regulators that are in the crowd tonight or people who might be watching this, don't wait for the constitutional challenge. Embrace the idea that truthful specialization is good for the customer. We need to encourage national brands. You know how tough it is to get a branded law firm out there? It's really rough. We need to take a look at the few states that still restrict brand name law firms and tell them to get with the 21st century. We do all these things, then we have to tell people about it. How do the marks know that we offer all these things? Because we really don't advertise. Well, most of us don't advertise. It took 70 years for a couple of lawyers to finally get up the guts to challenge the 1908 restriction on lawyer advertising. And still 40 years after the Bates decision, the rules are so complex and convoluted, I would dare anyone to try and launch a national ad campaign for legal services. Unless you're in PI, unless you're in mass tort, it's just not worth it. We have to make advertising restrictions easier and understandable to start drawing in the consumer to what we have to offer and bring them to us. When we do this, we come to the next one. And we got to stop scaring away the marks of the world with the traditional hourly fee. People are doing this already, and I love it. The fact of the matter is that we should be doing more things. We should be cutting costs. We should be looking at upfront and flat fee pricing to really get people comfortable with the fact that they can afford what it is that we're doing. When most small businesses or middle-class consumers go to a law firm, they usually go to a small law firm, a sole practitioner. My dad ran a small business. He went to the local lawyer in our tiny town of 4,000. This is what they want. They don't want this. They want something better than that. They want scale and branding and technology. They want volume with respect to specialization, and small law doesn't really have that. They need to take in other professionals from outside, and that really requires something. These are some of the things and the inefficiencies inside the small law model. Things that are actually happening every day that are really have one thing in common besides being on the screen together, and that's that they're not the practice of law. They're the business of law. Professor Hatfield thinks that 75% of every hour billed does really not require a law license. This is a sandbox that we built for our profession, so I'm not blaming the solos. They're just doing what they thought. But we need to do our best to try and think of a better model and get new fuel in, new fuel to try and power change. And that comes from corporate investment and ownership. I'm going to try and go through. Given what's happening across the pond, we can't ignore the fact that corporate ownership might be something that we want to think about, right? It's a tough pill to swallow, but the fact is that innovation without investment is like a rocket ship without gas. It's just not going anywhere. We need to open up and expand the market to individuals. We do need to be careful. We need to be very careful that when we're thinking of these things, that we don't go down the slippery slope. I don't want to make law a commodity, and neither should you. But we need to actually and really well balance the idea between ethics and professionalism. When we raise awareness, we have to make sure things are truthful. When we offer the continuum, we have to make sure that people are actually able to provide the help. And when we say that we specialize, we need to make sure that that's truthful and accurate as well. When we deal with corporate ownership and the fuel, we have to make sure that the lawyer's independent advice is independent and remains that way. We can't have profits over ethics. It must be this way. It requires right regulation of the business and right regulation of the lawyer. As I conclude, I'll leave you with the same question that I started. I'm actually comfortable with this change, and I hope more of you are getting there too. I'm going to leave you with a quote from one of my heroes. Everyone here should be thinking about what the necessary job is in getting us there. Let's balance ethics and access and professionalism and profits and bring a new model to the consumer. Thank you.